Welcome back to Questions of Life. We're looking at resilience. This is the next chunk in our conversation. But I think if you look at me and you, we're temperamentally very different. So you're very much, I've thought this through, this is the right thing to do. And I'm more emotions and then think it through. So for you, you're like, I've made this decision, I'm following it through. Sometimes my emotions in my however many years I've been a Christian, I've got to the point of, I am really annoyed with you and I'm within everything of me walking away. Not because I don't love God, but because I just get so emotional and so frustrated that some of the major things that have happened have got me to that point of, I've not given up, but I've got to the point. But that's just different temperamentally. And I think we go back to the different things we can handle. So your resilience and your ability to cope with things, I think, is higher than mine, which is a great thing because you're my team leader and you run this church, and I love that.
I don't know. We can unpack that because I think you've faced some very, very difficult things and come through them in a remarkable way. But anyway.
Yeah, but I didn't give up.
No.
But I was very, very close. So what I'm saying is some people might be like you, that they've made this decision and I'm going to follow it through. Some people might be like me, who are more emotional and more all over the place and have moments of, this is just awful.
I think, I have been very, very close. I think the aspect is that there's a concept in the Bible that maybe we should do a whole talk on because I think it's very misunderstood. There's a concept in the Bible that the Old Testament often calls the fear of the Lord. Yeah. And I think that conjures up all kinds of unhelpful ideas because it makes it sound like God is unpredictable. But I would say that there's a bottom line of respect and revering God that when it comes to when push comes to shove, I dare not tell him that I'm breaking my promise. I literally daren't do that because I just think he is so powerful and great and awesome. And I thought it through at the time. And I guess some of it is to do with how you become a Christian, because I had that 2-year period of really being questioning it. It's a choice that by the time I got baptized, I knew what I was doing. And I daren't say to God, that's it. And that, it's the same that I daren't let you down, I daren't let the church down. There are many Sunday mornings when I wake up and what I feel is, turn the alarm off, I can't face being in front of people or on a camera again. It's too scary and I'm too useless at it. Most Sunday mornings I wake up feeling that, but I daren't let you down. What I would think about is everybody being in the church waiting for me.
Where is he?
Exactly. Yeah. And that experience so frightens me that it'll push me through. I daren't face God. I really daren't face God and say, I didn't do what you wanted me to do with my life. I know you made me. I know you gave me breath. I know you called me for a reason. And you know what, God, I didn't do it. I dare not do that. And that may sound like God's negative. For me, it's deeply rooted out of love. I just don't want to let him down. I just don't want to let him down. I do let him down all the time, but I don't want to deliberately let him down. I don't want to choose to let him down. I can't cope with that thought. I just want to live for Jesus. And words of songs, commitment prayers, all of those things really help me and reinforce it. And I do love, it was an old chorus and it's been reinvented. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. I love to sing that. The world behind me, the cross before me. I've decided. So that for me, it's about, so the resilience, the bottom line is, I'm more afraid of failure than I am of whatever problem I'm facing. And whether that's unhealthy or not, others can decide. But I'm more afraid of letting you down than I am afraid of the problems that I face when I get here.
And I think we go back to this place of understanding who God is. And I think when we base everything solely on emotions and feelings, we don't have that stable rock in which we go back to the Word of God. This is who God is. This is who I'm trusting. This is who I'm committing my life to. And I think things like the Alpha course, which we'll be running hopefully again in the new year, are brilliant because it just takes you on a journey. It's like your 2-year journey. I think there's a real strength in that. I think people often think, oh, wouldn't it have been great if I just became a Christian out of nowhere? And I think it swings and roundabouts, because I listen to what you're saying and I think about, well, I just became a Christian. There wasn't a 2-year whatever, it was just one night. I heard somebody talking about the difference that Jesus made. I'm like, I want that. And so my life changed in an instant, which was powerful and amazing, and makes me think that God can do instant and amazing things. But when that's the first thing that God does for you, that's your expectation of what it's going to be like. So when he doesn't do that, and he teaches you that sometimes you need patience and we go on a journey and not everything is instant, it's far harder. Because you're like, well, come on, you're the God of the miraculous. You saved me. And again, it's just different temperaments, different experiences, different understandings. But I think eventually we get to the same place that, I've worked out through the Bible, through teaching in my head, who God is, what he means, and all of those things. I think we're saying exactly the same thing, but we've just got it at different ways. And it's probably been a longer journey for me, because it was far more of an emotional thing. And there's nothing wrong with emotions. There's nothing wrong in what I did. It was completely amazing. But when you're up against it, it teaches you initially think, come on, God, miraculously get me out of this. And God doesn't always do that.
I think that leads them on to another huge area, which is expectations.
Yeah.
So my story, I think I told you before, was that the day after I'd had that moment of experiencing God, I went to school and renounced it. And that traumatized me for 20 years.
Absolutely.
That one minute, Saturday night, I was telling people I was a Christian. Monday morning, I was telling people I was not a Christian.
Yeah.
And so that does shape how I see things. But it leads into this area of expectations. And for me, the way I see Jesus, the way I understand the New Testament, is that it is clear that if I'm going to be a disciple of Jesus, I must take up my cross. And I will have to deny myself. Paul says in Philippians, which is so significant a book for me, he says, I press on to take that which Christ has taken hold of me and to share in his sufferings. That I think from after that 2-year period, I think on that Monday morning, I thought that God should make my life easy, and then why hadn't he? By the time I got baptized, I realized that if I was going to follow Jesus, I had to follow him to the cross. I had to die with him. And that has shaped my understanding of Christianity, that I expect there to be suffering. I expect it to be difficult. I expect there to be spiritual opposition, and I expect there to be physical opposition.
You're Mr. Optimist, aren't you?
Realist. I think I'm Mr. Realist.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised and pleased when things are better.
That's
but
true.
if you read the Old Testament and you read the New Testament, the pattern of church leadership is that people grumble. So my expectation of church leadership is that nobody's going to be happy. I'm thrilled when people are happy.
I fulfill that for you most days, don't I?
But you just see that if you read the people of God always grumbled. So why should I not expect that to be the experience? Actually, it's far less than I expect. But I don't expect God to make my life easy. I expect that if I'm following Jesus and fulfilling his call on my life to be part of the transformation of this world, of a part of the bringing a kingdom of God in, of casting out the kingdom of darkness, that is a painful experience. It's a birth pain. It's going to be difficult. I think if we sell Christianity as come to Jesus and you will be happy ever after, and I think there's a temptation to do that, and there's the risk that we do that. I think no wonder people give up. I think for me, I came to the point of realizing I am so loved by God, and this world is so messed up. I want to be part of his transformation of this world, because in heaven, I'll get all the rewards. So I believe this world will be trouble and difficulty, and that to be a follower of Jesus, I have to walk that path. So that doesn't mean that difficulties are easier, but it doesn't mean I'm going, well, what happened there, God?
Yeah, you're not blindsided.
I'm not blindsided.
Yeah.
They're part of what I anticipate. And I think that helps my resilience. And one of my favourite quotes, which you know I quote all the time, is that disillusionment occurs when you start with an illusion. If you have an illusion that if you pray and follow Jesus, you will never be sad again, you will never have problems, you will never have difficulty, you will never have something that's frightening, it's an illusion, and you'll get it dissed. And you become disillusioned, and you say, God, where were you? If we have a right understanding of life, which is that this world is messed up, it's a battleground between good and evil, and in heaven, good will triumph and evil will be vanquished, and we will celebrate forever, then you can cope with the evil because it's not a surprise.
And I think that's such an important point, and I think it's such a mindset that we don't always have. I think for many people, they enter into Christianity thinking, my life's going to be great now. I'm not going to have troubles, and are completely blindsided when they do. Isn't life supposed to be great? Am I not supposed to have any more worries? God's perfect peace. And then people feel guilty and second rate when actually difficulties come and they struggle. Well, what's wrong with my faith? I'm a really poor Christian. I'm a really bad person. And you're in this negative circle that it's really difficult to get out of, that you need to trust God for his help in the situation, but you're feeling so bad about yourself that you're backed off thinking, what must God think of me? I'm rubbish. I can't even cope with this. I didn't expect it. Is it because I've done something wrong? And you go through this whole unhelpful mind full of rubbish. And some churches, I have to say, not us, perpetuate this.
Yeah.
You come to God and he'll provide all your money, everything else will be absolutely fine.
Yeah. And in itself, that does still frustrate me, even makes me angry if we go back to last week. But the New Testament says that there will be people who will teach false teachings and that will deceive, and that they will say peace, peace when there is no peace.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
In fact, the Bible even talks about there being occasional people that will seem to lead whole nations and whole empires who will be liars. And so when you see that happening in the world, you think, okay, the Bible said that this kind of thing happens. It's not that something's gone wrong that God's taken by surprise. It is still wrong, but it's not unexpected.
And the need for resilience isn't most of the time because of anything that we've done. We're just caught up in this world, as the Bible calls it, a fallen world, that it is far from perfect, that there are so many things that go wrong, whether that be health, relationships, attack from the devil, whatever it might be, that it's not about us. It's just that we are passers through in a world that is not permanent, is not heaven, but it has a whole load of rubbish that goes on, and we get caught up in that. And so I think you're so right, your expectations. Not that we expect the worst the whole time, but that we recognise that when we're going against the flow, that we're with God, and that life isn't always easy. I think that's great. I've got a message in here just to throw in at this point. It says, I feel lack of resilience is another failure in myself. I try and fall down again, and because I have fallen down, it confirms that I'm not worthy. I wish resilience could be built like a muscle. I think
resilience can be built with a muscle, but we may start being very unfit.
Yes.
And so I could never run a marathon. I could never. I probably couldn't run to the end of the street because I'm not fit. But I can build slowly.
Yes.
And I never be able to run a marathon, but I can get fitter than I was yesterday.
Couch to 5K you could do, I reckon.
Couch to 5K. I think one of the other things that I found really helpful is the concept that when you and I were learning to walk, when we were little children, we learned to walk, we fell over. There's no doubt about it. There's nobody who can learn to walk without falling over. Falling over is not a problem. The only problem is when you stay sat down and you say, that's it, I'm not going to learn to walk. And for me, resilience is not the absence of falling over. In fact, it's the very opposite. Resilience is the ability to say, I've messed up, I've fallen over, but I'm going to have another go. And I think that we mustn't confuse failure with resilience.
Yeah.
Failure is something we all do.
Yeah.
Resilience is the ability to just have another go.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, talking about aims and expectations, one of the things that's been important to me is I don't expect myself to be successful. However you define success, I don't put that burden on me. I want to be faithful. I want to keep going. And so one of the things we've talked about in recent months is the idea that I remembered is that I didn't want my life to be a firework, which is spectacular and brilliant and all over. I want to be a street lamp, which is dull, but consistent and necessary.
It's dull in comparison to a firework. It's not dull, it gives light. Yes.
No. And I guess my life, I'm aiming to be consistent. I'm not aiming to be successful. We all compare ourselves to other people, don't we? And I do that, and it's unhelpful. And I've gone through times of comparing myself with really successful Christian leaders when I was an early Christian, the fact that I couldn't sing or play guitar really distressed me. I know we laugh about it, but it really, really did, because I thought all the top Christians could play the guitar. And I compared myself to people who were funny, could tell jokes. I compared myself, and I've gone through all of that. And I had to think, I don't want to be a firework, I want to be a street lamp. And I had a mentor when I first went into Christian ministry, a guy called Gilbert Kirby, who was then in his 80s. He's now long gone to be with Jesus. What he inspired me was that he'd done 60 years in Christian ministry, and he'd done it faithfully. He had the same wife. He didn't have any enemies. He'd just done it. And I thought, that's what I want to do. That's actually what I want to do, is I want to get to the end 50, 60, 70 and say I was consistent. I didn't let anybody down. And that goal for me was important then. And I think I've renounced success. I waver all the time. I'm always comparing myself, but I need to, when I'm at my good place, am I consistent? Am I faithful? So I would say to the person that feels that they're not good at it, it depends what you're comparing yourself to. And all that's required is to just have another go. That's all that's required, just have another go.
How long did it take you to be comfortable in yourself that this is me, and I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to be faithful to who God has created me to be? So, writing a sermon each day, whatever it is you're doing, saying, I am doing this for God. I'm not doing it for the acclaim of, I want to be a blessing to those that listen. How long did it take you to work that through?
Well, I think I'm still working. I think I'm still working at I have wobbles. So I would say possibly when I was a young Christian, I would have 10 days of feeling insecure and comparing myself, and I'd have half an hour of feeling secure in myself.
Yep.
And now I think that I will wobble at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night.
After the live streams?
After the live streams,
yeah.
I will go over what I've done. I will go over what I've said. I will wobble about it then.
Do you watch it back then, or do you just think it back?
No, I don't. No, I will. No, because I really will wobble, and I wobble Monday morning. I'm normally wobbling all the way through our staff meetings, where I'm thinking I'm not. And then, so my current pattern is that on Tuesday I really get into preparing the study in John, and I spend all day studying John's Gospel. By the end of Tuesday, I'm back on equilibrium, and that tends to carry me through till Sunday night again. So it's not that I never wobble at all. That would be fake. And for me to convey that, it would be great, but it wouldn't be true. It's just that there's more greater periods, and I think that I've gone through lots of periods where I could have gone somewhere else, I could have given up, I could have moved, where things were difficult. And each time we've come through that, and I'm still here, makes you that little bit stronger. And then there are loads of other things, like I'm surrounded by really good people and all of that stuff. But I couldn't tell you I go a whole week feeling completely happy in my skin. It's just that I'm happier for longer periods.
That's good. That's really positive. Brilliant. So we have done expectations, choices. Where do you want to go next?
Well, let's go with people.
Yep.
Choose to surround yourself with people who encourage and exclude. Don't listen to, minimalise the impact of people who don't.
Talk about being Mr. Teflon, because I always, that's great.
Yeah,
so
I sometimes, when someone is being discouraging to me, I sometimes imagine myself to be like a non-stick frying pan. I visualise, I'm covered in Teflon, I visualise that the words that you are saying are not going to stick to me, and I'm going to forget them when I walk out of here. I make sure that the people close to me, my colleagues, I think I'm in the fortunate position of being, when you're in leadership, you can choose people you work with. You're part of the appointment process. Not my choice altogether, but collectively, you make sure you surround yourself with people that build up and encourage.
We built you up on Sunday night, didn't we?
Absolutely. But you can only do that. You can only take Mick because the bottom line is there's a good relationship underneath.
We wouldn't do it if we didn't know that you didn't.
Exactly.
If we felt you didn't know we didn't completely respect you, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm fortunate to have a great team of elders. Always had a great team of elders. Always had really, really good elders. Close friends. So you hold close to you the people that strengthen your resilience, and people that damage your resilience. You might still need to work with them. You might still need to live with them. But I compartmentalise their impact on me.
So it's learning to do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's particularly those that are negative. I'm thinking of those in the workplace that maybe have to work with people that are unhelpful, because it's easier to choose your friends. You can't choose your family, obviously.
Yeah.
But some of those closer we can choose. But those that we can't choose, it's a case of saying, okay, God, would you help me to work out how I don't let this affect me?
Yeah.
Yours is to do what you do. What's my thing? What is it that I do? So at the end of the day, when I walk out of here, that's not stuck to me. That's not going around in my head. Those are the lies that I don't need to listen to. I need to just leave that. So is it a case of asking God, help me to do that?
I guess so.